There are names that whisper dark stories in the wind, names stained by fear, blood, and a madness that devoured an entire town. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the cold, not just the cold of a Massachusetts winter, but a cold that sears into your bones, born of suspicion, of terror of the unknown, and your own neighbor. We are in Salem, 1692, and hell is about to break loose. Imagine a world girdled by dark forests like gaping jaws, and a faith so rigid it barely left room to breathe. The Puritans of Salem lived under the constant gaze of a stern God, but it was the shadow of the devil that really chilled their hearts. They thought they felt his breath in every gust of wind, saw his influence in every misfortune. Satan was no fable. He was a hungry presence, waiting for the moment to seep into their lives. And in the winter of 1692, at Reverend Parris's house, the door was not only opened, it was kicked down. Elizabeth Parris, Abigail Williams, girls on the brink of womanhood, began to writhe. Their bodies were canvases of unnatural agony, screams that chilled the blood, profanities spat between clenched teeth, postures that defied human anatomy. The doctors, impotent, could only stammer the forbidden word, the explanation they all feared but secretly hoped for: witchcraft. The contagion was rapid, virulent. Like an invisible disease, the affliction jumped to other young women. Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis, their bodies convulsed in public, their eyes rolled, and their fingers, oh, those accusing fingers. They pointed, trembling, at neighbors, at acquaintances. They claimed to be tormented by specters seen only by them, pinched, bitten, strangled by ghostly apparitions sent by witches among them. The first ones singled out, conveniently weak. Tituba, the slave, brought from warm and mysterious lands, whose nightly stories now seemed like sinister incantations. Sarah Good, the beggar woman who cursed in whispers. Sarah Osborne, the sick and resentful old woman. They were the perfect target, easy prey for a fear that needed to feed. Tituba confessed. What horrors were whispered in her ear during those long nights of interrogation? What pain bent her? She spoke of a dark pact, of a book signed in blood, of night flights and covens under the black moon. Her confession was not a relief. It was gasoline on the smoldering embers of paranoia. If she was a witch, if the devil was already walking among them, who would be next? Your neighbor? Your friend? You? Hysteria became an insatiable beast. Outcasts were no longer enough. Old grudges, hidden envy, unpaid debts, all became kindling for the bonfire of accusations. And the spectral evidence, that was the perfect weapon. The testimony of a tormented girl about an unseen attack was enough to seal your fate. How to prove your innocence when your own spirit was accused of nocturnal crimes? You were trapped in a nightmare dictated by others. A special court was erected, Boyer and Terminer, hear and determine. But the determination had already been made. In that courtroom, the presumption of innocence was heresy. The judges, with feverish eyes of divine certainty, watched as the afflicted writhed and screamed on the stand every time a defendant attempted to speak. The air was thick with fear, with hatred, with the sweet smell of hysteria. Bridget Bishop, independent, perhaps too alive for Salem. She was the first to feel the noose around her neck. On June 10th, under an indifferent sky on Gallows Hill, the Gallows Hill, her life was extinguished. Did her death bring peace? No. It only proved that the killing machine was already in motion and would not be easily stopped. July, August, September. The months bled one after another. Rebecca Nurse, aged and beloved, dragged to trial. John Proctor, the voice of reason, silenced by the prosecution. George Burroughs, the minister, branded as the very leader of the witches, his physical strength interpreted as a gift from the devil. The prisons reeked of despair, crowded with trembling bodies. Cold, disease, and fear killed several before the executioner could claim them. 19 ropes, 19 broken necks on Gallows Hill. Men and women hung like animals, denied even the dignity of a grave. Their bodies cast into the earth unconsecrated, for a servant of Satan deserved no rest. Imagine the terror of knowing that could be your fate for a mere whispered word. And Giles Corey, 80 years of stubbornness defying madness. He refused to play his game, neither guilty nor innocent. Silence. His punishment was medieval, brutal, peine forte et dure, slow crushing. Bored on the chest, stones added one by one, the weight increasing, robbing him of air, breaking his ribs. 2 days. 2 days of agony under the inclement sun. His final challenge? When they demanded a statement, they say he could only muster the strength to moan, "More weight." He died crushed, yes, but undefeated. His silence screamed louder than any forced confession. But every fever, however high, eventually breaks or consumes the patient. As the accusations began to brush against the wives of the most powerful men, even Governor Phipp's own, an uneasy doubt began to snake its way through the judges. Had they gone too far? Was it possible that the devil was so cunning as to deceive them, God's chosen ones? The absurd spectral evidence no longer held the weight of the massacre. In October, the machine stopped. The governor dissolved the cursed court. Spectral evidence was banned. The remaining trials crumbled. Prison doors opened, releasing the remaining living wraiths. The hysteria receded, leaving behind a devastated people, broken families, and a silence laden with guilt and shame. What was it that really nested in Salem in 1692? Simple mass hysteria? Ergotism? Or was it something more? Something dark that fed on fear and suspicion, wearing the cloak of piety. Apologies were made. Compensation was paid. Attempts were made to erase the stain. But can so much blood spilled by fear really be wiped away? Can the echoing screams that still seem to float in the air of Gallows Hill on moonless nights be silenced? Salem today sells witch trinkets and ghoulish souvenirs. But don't be fooled by the tourist facade. The seed of what happened there, that toxic mix of fear, accusation, and blind certainty, didn't die in 1692. It's still dormant, waiting. The real lesson of Salem is not about witches flying on broomsticks. It's about the darkness in all of us, and how easy it is to point the finger at the other as the monster. The terrifying question is not whether witches will return to Salem. It's recognizing that perhaps the hunt was never quite over. It just changes its name.